Hi, it's me. Not Ted Nivison. I tricked you. So I recently made a video talking about the Left Behind films, a series of evangelical Christian movies based on a series of books that imagine some of the end times events prophesized in the Bible, like the rapture, the antichrist, and the mark of the beast, coming to pass in a contemporary world. And many commented on that video surprised that I didn't also cover the apocalypse films, which were released around the same time as the first three Left Behinds. Now, at first I was confused why anyone would have expected that, as that's a completely separate series of movies set in a different world with different characters. But then I learned not only that brothers Peter and Paul Lalonde were the producers of both these and the Left Behind movies, but also, having now watched them, the premises of both these series are extremely similar, and beyond the obvious ways they would be pulling from the same parts of the Bible. So I completely understand how people would misremember these and the Left Behinds as being part of the same franchise. So naturally, I watched these too, because I've cursed myself to a life in never-ending pursuit of an encyclopedic knowledge of Christian cinema. Hey, I'll take it over working on an oil rig. But first, I'd like to thank FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Now, if you're spending 8 to 12 hours a day sitting at your desk like I do, a bad chair isn't just uncomfortable, it leaves you feeling like Tobey Maguire in that one scene in Spider-Man 2. My back! I honestly didn't realize how bad it was until I switched to the C7 Max ergonomic chair from FlexiSpot. Unlike traditional chairs, this thing adapts to you. It features a 3D adjustable headrest and a height adjustable backrest. The smart lumbar support targets both your lumbar and sacrum areas automatically. The seat cushion combines 0.2-inch latex with memory foam so you stay supported, even through your 12-hour sessions. The 5D armrests adjust to any position, whether you're working, typing, or gaming. Then my favorite part is when the workday is done. In addition to popping a gummy, you can also pop out the chair's footrest. You could even go crisscross applesauce if you're in like a monk mood. Now, FlexiSpot offers a 30-day risk-free trial and a 10-year warranty. Plus, you can use my code C750 at the link in the description to get $50 off. Now, if you're on a budget, you might want to check out their C5 chair, or if you want their newest release with updated back and lumbar support, check out the C7 Morpher. And thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. So the first movie in this series is Apocalypse: Caught in the Eye of the Storm from 1998.
Why don't you watch this tape? Then you can draw your own conclusions.
He's gonna take you back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass.
Which opens with an upbeat song being played over real images of things like riots, wildfires, executions, and like starving people.
But when you're caught in the eye of the storm, nowhere to turn as the thunder crashes.
This is something the movie does several times going forward, using archival footage of real unrest in the world to depict the fictional international unrest happening as a result of the movie's plot. Like when the rapture happens, they use footage of real plane and car crashes, where presumably real people died or were at least injured. And that's like messed up, right? To use footage of people actually suffering to sell the idea of this fictional apocalypse tied to one specific faith. Anyway, much like the Left Behind movies focused on journalist Cameron Buck Williams, this one focuses on a pair of journalists, Helen Hanna and Bronson Pearl, who are actually a couple. Also, like Buck in the first Left Behind movie, Bronson reports from Israel as it's under attack from some unspecified threat, and a local feeds him some very blatant propaganda.
This is our land. It's all we've got. There is no other safe place for the Jew. You know that. Wherever we have gone for 2,000 years, we have been hated and butchered. And now, they want to do it to us again. In our own land. The land is meaningless. It is our existence they cannot tolerate. We have got to fight.
I also learned my lesson from the Left Behind movies so that when this movie introduced Franco Macaluso, beloved president of the European Union preaching a message of peace and unity,
hopefully President Macaluso can convince the world that the Battle of Armageddon is not a foregone conclusion, and that history will instead unfold exactly as we write it over the next few days.
I knew immediately he was the Antichrist. But unfortunately, in comparison to the Left Behind Antichrist, Nicolae Carpathia, this guy is very boring. Like, there aren't even scenes of him interacting with other people in this movie, just him giving speeches, during which his voice kinda reminds me of someone if I close my eyes.
Long time ago, a deceitful and evil man named Jesus, came in my name and deceived many.
Or is that a reach? But they kind of make up for his dullness with his henchman Parker, who takes control of the media and is really entertaining.
And you honestly think the Messiah is worried about a bunch of crazies thinking he's the devil? He's not worried about that at all. That's my job.
There was a weird inclusion, though, where he's constantly bringing up the fact that he has a micro-penis.
This thing is so tiny, you wouldn't see it even if you were looking for it.
I mean, I guess it's cool he's not ashamed of it, at least. So obviously the rapture happens, and in this version, the clothes of all the vanished are left behind perfectly folded.
Oh my God, Charlie, this is impossible. It's just impossible. I just can't believe it. I don't know what to say. My cameraman, Charles Taffes, he's just disappeared right in front of me.
I mean, they do say cleanliness is next to godliness. And much like every other Rapture movie I've watched, this one views non-Christians as so stubborn and oblivious that after every Christian in the world disappears, nobody recognizes the pattern.
So what in the world happened? No one seems to have the first idea.
How could one man disappear from his seat in an airplane, leaving another passenger just sitting there? Why were they taken? Why were we left behind?
Unless they literally open a Bible or watch a sermon about 1 Thessalonians. When in reality, a lot of non-Christians know about the rapture. And I feel regardless, it'd be immediately evident to them that only Christians disappeared based solely on the geographic distribution of everyone who vanished. So Helen, despite not previously being a believer, discovers tapes belonging to her raptured grandma that convince her what's happening is the biblical end times, and she accepts Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. But when she shows Bronson the same thing, he's not so easily swayed.
Oh, for God's sake, Helen, you're a journalist.
Not until he goes to his father's grave for guidance, and the moon shines directly onto the verses of 1 Thessalonians 4:16 through 17 engraved on it, prompting Bronson to dig up his father's coffin and find that his body too has been raptured, finally bringing Bronson to the truth.
His clothes were still there. His wedding ring was there. His Bible was there.
And I don't know what this thing is, but it was there too. Now, from my understanding, the evangelical Christians who believe in the rapture believe that only Christians will vanish, leaving not just atheists, but all other religious people behind. Like if you call God Allah, for example, you're staying the fuck down here. But these movies seem to have no interest in acknowledging that many religious people will get left behind as well. Everyone just seems to have been an atheist or agnostic pre-rapture, which makes it extra confusing when Macaluso announces himself as the Messiah and the majority of left-behind atheists just accept that.
Being summoned by the man we had all believed to be the European Union president. In fact, however, it is now agreed by virtually the entire planet that he is much more than that.
When it's I feel they would be inherently skeptical people not likely to accept anyone as the Messiah. I sure wouldn't be. Makes me think the people who wrote this think that people who haven't accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior only haven't because they would prefer a Lord and Savior who's evil. But in response to Bronson accusing him of being the Antichrist on live TV, Macaluso claims that he and all the other Christian converts are simply against his mission of peace, turning his followers against them. Me convincing my friend to push down children so we can get to the newly stocked Pokemon cards at Target.
Whatever it takes, we gotta get rid of those haters that are standing in our way.
So Christians are taken from their homes and rounded up in prison camps. So it's interesting. I bet a lot of people who are fans of these movies can recognize that this is a bad thing when it's happening to their fellow Christians, but can't when something extremely similar might be happening to another group in real life. Anyway, the movie ends a little tragically, with Bronson being deemed a terrorist and executed by Macaluso's New World government. But there's a bit of hope, as with the help of some uncaptured converts, Helen's grandma's sermons are broadcast worldwide in place of the execution, bringing some people watching to the light. Even some non-white people, if you can believe it. So apocalypse caught in the eye of the storm. In short, I think this is one of the worst movies I've had to watch. Like, yeah, the Left Behind movies were bad, but at least they had some semi-memorable characters, performances, and set pieces. This just has terribly acted stock characters talking in rooms, and all the events unfolding worldwide are just depicted with archive footage and narration. It actually reminded me a lot of the Ice Cube War of the Worlds from last year.
Oh my god.
But with the added air of religious superiority that most Rapture movies have. If you don't believe in the biblical end times, this movie quite literally has nothing to offer you. And even if you do, why would you watch this when Left Behind is right there? Enough people must have watched it though, because it got several sequels, starting with Apocalypse 2: Revelation released the following year. Me getting to the fun part of the high right before my friend starts fucking with me. So as predicted the Antichrist would do, Macaluso unites the world's many governments into the singular one nation Earth that he controls, and uses to persecute Christians.
Last night, found a Bible in his room. This morning, found a kneeling wise man.
Dad, I was praying for you.
You're not the first father to turn into son. Probably half the haters in captivity have been turned in by families for re-education.
Again, people being imprisoned and brainwashed into something they're not is bad when done to Christians. If they could only just extend that empathy to queer people. This one focuses on Agent Thorold Stone, whose young daughter and Christian wife were raptured. He's played by Jeff Fahey, who I've seen before in a few of David A.R. White's movies and always thought had a very intimidating, villainous voice.
Don't use the Bible as a shield to hide behind to suit your argument. No man has the right to quote the Bible unless he's ready and willing to commit to living that life.
But weirdly in this, he's a little younger, so it's not quite at its final form.
Maybe I'm not looking for God. I'm just looking for my family.
Stone works as a counter-terrorist agent for One Nation Earth, tracking down members of a Christian resistance led by Helen from the first movie. And the official name of the resistance is actually the Haters.
We didn't find the disc at the Haters' hideout.
Basically these movies' version of the Tribulation Force from the Left Behinds. But after Stone learns that ONE has been framing the Haters for acts of terror, he questions his loyalty to them, and goes to wheelchair-bound computer expert Willie Spino for help. And Spino, played by actor Tony Nappo, is easily the best character in all these movies.
And what makes you think I'm gonna believe you? Because I need your help. And my gun's real.
It's a good point.
So they team up with the Haters because Hannah is apparently Spino's stepsister and are able to hack into one of ONE's servers via a cartoon jackhammer on screen because this is a 90s movie.
Yes! We're in!
and they're able to learn of Macalusso's real plan to, and I could be getting this wrong because it's very confusing, send everyone in the world VR headsets bringing them face to face with Macalusso, where they can either accept the mark of the beast and be granted their heart's desire, or reject him and be executed. Because if you die in the game, you die in real life. And the prospect of being able to walk is unfortunately able to bring Spino to the dark side.
God, no.
Oh, God, yes!
Anytime now.
But hey, I'm not religious. I have no investment in this Christian versus Antichrist war, so I feel I can still like him as a character. Damn it. Honestly, though, I still kind of like him.
Then maybe I get to take a Pikachu in a bikini.
For heaven's sakes.
Talk about your day of wonders, huh?
Ruff!
But the haters, with the help of Stone, who of course accepts Christ, are able to create and upload a virus that deletes the program, which infuriates Spino. Me when the MCU X-Men castings were different from what I bet they would be on Kalshi.
No! 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 This is impossible! No!
Also, Parker from the first movie gets burned alive. So, perpetuation of ancient made-up prophecies and the Christian persecution complex aside, I was glad to find this movie a vast improvement over the first. It has Spino, there's a noticeable budget increase. They recast Macalusso with similarly named actor Nick Mancuso, who gives a performance much more deserving of the Antichrist title.
Not even your God can save you.
Still, I think I like the henchman Parker just a little better.
What have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time?
But yeah, this had some of that same fun campiness that I enjoyed in the first 3 Left Behind movies. Especially with so much of the plot revolving around VR, which was a very 90s decision, but in a good way. I will say though, the sound mixing left something to be desired. Certain scenes I couldn't understand what anyone was saying.
The same lie the serpent told Eve in the Garden of Eden. Come on, Eve, eat the fruit. It won't hurt you. Look how good it looks.
Also, funny detail I noticed in this movie's plot summary on Wikipedia, which describes Spino trying to kill Helen Hannah. Someone made that a link to an unrelated rock group named Kill Hannah. I don't know, I thought that was funny. Anyway, the saga continued in Apocalypse 3: Tribulation, released in the year 2000. Just 9 months before the first Left Behind movie, and 11 months before I was born.
It's not a theory, not even close. This is scientifically proven, all of it.
How have I been able to make that joke in like every Rapture series I've reviewed? So this is easily the most star-studded one of these. It's got Gary Busey as skeptic cock Tom Canborough, Margot Kidder as his Christian sister Eileen. Christian Sister could also be the name of a band that does faith-based parodies of Twisted Sister songs. We're not gonna take it, only it is referring to a vaccine. And then through his wife Susie, Tom has a brother-in-law, Jason, played by Howie Mandel. The actor whose appearance in this most surprised me. Like, why would a Jewish comedian want to be in a Christian drama? But then I looked it up to find out he's a pretty fervent Zionist, so that explains it a little. But his character, Jason, is like a mentally ill, reclusive conspiracy theorist about Macalusso and biblical prophecies specifically. When the salvia makes me think Thanksgiving dinner is a horde of small goblins. The first half of this movie actually takes place before the Rapture, and we get a cameo from a pre-conversion atheist Helen who's friends with Susie.
Hey, Helen, did you get my message?
Oh yeah, the one about the Bible prophecy guy. What's his story anyway? That fire from heaven is going to destroy the earth?
Now, in my Left Behind video, I accidentally said the book in the Bible people interpret as predicting the rapture was the book of Revelations when it's actually 1 Thessalonians. Needless to say, I felt less bad about that when I saw this movie, presumably written by Christians, make the same exact mistake.
Hey, Eileen. What's that thing in the book of Revelations, you know, where everybody vanishes off the face of the earth? It's called the rapture.
So basically, there's a group of satanic psychics working for Macaluso who are led by a bald guy, who I thought for way too long was Spino returning, promoted since his turn in the last movie. But no, it's just a new bald guy. So these guys, Jean Grey style, psychically take control of Jason to kill the Christian sister Eileen, but he snaps out of it by throwing himself out a window. Then, when Eileen shows up to the hospital wanting to talk to Jason, something happens that often does in Christian movies I watch, where Gary Busey argues with her using points that the movie ultimately views as wrong, but sound completely valid to me.
I know where you're going. I know what you have to offer, but that's not what he needs right now. I know this religious stuff is important to you, but that doesn't mean it's the answer to everything. Jason has a very serious problem, and he needs a doctor, not a priest.
And they come extremely close to acknowledging that other religions exist besides Christianity without actually breaching the topic.
Well, do you believe in God?
That's a complex question.
It is not a complex question. When was the last time you opened a Bible?
You don't have to open the Bible to believe in God.
Why are they so afraid of voicing their actual beliefs regarding members of other religions out loud? Anyway, after federal agents show up asking about Jason's ramblings, Tom claims to know nothing and flees when something mysteriously takes control of his car and he crashes, only to wake up from a coma 5 years later to a post-rapture world. And I gotta respect Busey's commitment to this role. He was willing to actually grow out his hair and beard to show the passage of time. Then, I honestly remember very little of what happens in the rest of this movie. Like, Tom reunites with his wife Susie, who has joined the haters as a Christian, and he eventually converts too, but in like a stoic masculine way.
I'm not good at saying prayers because I never learned how. So I'm going to talk to you like you're right here, because now I know you are.
Because being a man of God doesn't mean you have to be a pussy. Just think of Jesus like one of the guys. And it very much seems like Helen dies at the end of this movie.
I've already chosen mine. I'm going home.
But spoilers, she's somehow still alive in the next one. It's shown that all the Christians who refuse to take the mark of the beast have become like homeless, and the bad guys call them pieces of trash.
I mean, do we really want this filth stinking up our world?
And again, I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly how some of this film's target audience talk about homeless people in real life. Macaluso's performance continues to grow on me, not unlike the little ponytail now growing on him.
And the whole world wondered after me, and they worshipped me, saying, "Who is like unto me?"
Like, Gordon Curry will always have a special place in my heart as my first Antichrist, but I like this guy too. The movie predicted meta glasses, which is cool.
But there's one thing I know for sure, is anybody who puts on those goggles comes out some kind of evil.
Then, similar to how the last movie had Macaluso's henchmen burn alive, in this one they die in an explosion. Neither of which seem like very Christ-like fates to bestow upon characters. I'm surprised they didn't write at least one of them a redemption arc where they found Christ. Agents of Satan are just too far gone, I guess. I feel I can't really say much positive about this movie when I forgot nearly everything that happens in it like 3 days after watching. Like, I had to watch a lot of it a second time just to know what my initial notes were referring to. Just painfully forgettable. Then the final installment of this series was Apocalypse 4: Judgement from 2001.
He's not the only man I know with a fake mark.
So apparently Helen is still alive and just in ONE captivity. And Macaluso, in an attempt to drum up anti-Christian propaganda, forces her to participate in a staged, televised trial for her crimes against humanity. And since this is Macaluso's satanic society, instead of swearing on a Bible, Helen is asked to swear on like an evil horned devil stick. But things get complicated when the lawyer appointed to defend her is Mitch Kendrick, who lost his previous case defending his hater Christian father, resulting in his execution. And I realized watching this, the sheer amount of Christian movies focused on trials. Christians love a trial. Because Jesus was on trial, and so was I, when Cracker Barrel required vaccine cards for indoor dining. This reminded me most of God's Not Dead 2, because of how much of it is arguing against common critiques of like the very specific beliefs of evangelical Christians. And I again hate how most of the critiques presented here by the bad guys are ones I generally agree with. Like the writers of these really do have a read on my beliefs.
I'm not here to bring you a new heaven, a new earth for tomorrow. I am here to bring heaven to earth today!
Like, I know that's the Antichrist, but I do agree with the general idea. We should worry more about this life we're guaranteed than a theoretical afterlife.
But maybe life on earth could be heaven. Doesn't just the thought of it make it worth a try?
Which I know to them just proves I'm naive enough to fall for his propaganda. But the movie also seems scared to acknowledge the objective best reasons someone might have for an aversion to Christianity.
Why didn't you leave this trial about me? Do you hate God that much?
No, I hate what he makes you people do.
Like what? Love our neighbors? Stand up for the truth?
Yeah, those are the only things historically Christianity has ever made people do. And look, I don't want to sound like an asshole characterizing an entire religion based on the absolute worst things people have ever used it to justify. But like, if you want to make a case for your religion, you at least have to acknowledge the completely valid reasons people might have for being hesitant about it, instead of just pretending they don't exist. I was excited to see Spino return in a cameo appearance.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for the unity of all people?
Sure thing, handsome.
Where he has like telekinesis now. There's also a subplot with the rest of the haters trying to break Helen out of prison, and the acting gets a huge upgrade in this one, as they're now joined by Mr. T.
No, sweetheart. God help those who help themselves. They're already calling us terrorists. I say it's time we do something about it.
But the movie ends with Mitch, who's obviously had a change of heart and wants to expose Macaluso as the Antichrist, calling him to testify. He then pulls out a loaded gun and asks the crowd, who supposedly all believe that Macaluso is the Messiah, if any of them are willing to sacrifice themselves for him. And nobody is, not even his inner circle. The stunt results in Mitch getting shot and killed. Meanwhile, Mr. T helps Helen escape, and the film ends very open-endedly. But good luck sleeping tonight, because this film never got a follow-up. This was the end of the Apocalypse franchise. So sometimes on this channel, I'll watch Christian media that surprises me, that has something interesting to say, or at the very least some unexpected entertainment value. That was the case with the first 3 Left Behind movies, for example. Unfortunately, it very much was not with these. With the exception of some fun moments in the second one, the Apocalypse franchise overall just felt like generic evangelical Christian persecution complex slop. Like the dramatization of a conspiracy theorist's ramblings. But you wouldn't know that looking at the comments under them on YouTube, most of which tout these as incredibly important movies that everyone should see. Because the end times are upon us, and you'll want to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior before it's too late. And look, I'm not telling anyone that they shouldn't be a Christian. That is never my intention with my videos reviewing Christian media. But I do think that putting too much stock in biblical end times prophecies specifically, in a way that causes you to look for signs of them in modern day geopolitics, is just a dangerous way of thinking. And if you're the type of evangelical Christian that's like excited about the rapture, I think it might cause you to be enthusiastic and supportive of world events that I don't think Jesus would be. Especially considering that most modern scholars agree the Book of Revelation was meant to be a symbolic critique of the Roman Empire specifically. But looking at these comments, dude, just makes me feel bad for how lost so many people are. And dude, all these people can vote. All these people can vote!
You can just pretend that you have plenty